But I really want to get these environments out of the way. I don't know why it's been taking me so long to work on them. Well, honestly, it's because I don't want to just draw a generic city. There'd be no point in that. I could just always just draw a generic ass city. It's trying to create something. Um, so I've been trying to imagine what these cities are, and how to best represent them. And then it finally kind of hit me, and I did a bit of research looking into it yesterday, and then I kind of got sidetracked working on something else. I shouldn't say sidetrack. I intentionally worked on something else. But I wanted to work on this one today, and this is basically just the base background picture that I'm going to be using, and then I'm going to add to it, and then try to piece them together in some sort of way that looks, it's like something decent. If I go to my website, I believe I have this map up on my website already, so I could just pull the image up there. This is my website. You could check it out. It's always a work in progress, isn't everything? And everything that I've been working on as far as the production goes, I've been throwing up here. So here's like not all the characters, but most of them that I've been working on. I'm still, obviously, since I'm always building up the roster, I'm still adding to it. And so there's characters. Here's some of the environments, environment props and things like that I worked on, environment pieces and sets, just to remind me what to work on later. I've been thinking about this one recently and how it's like so hard to see, So I have the overall map and then the location of it on the map. Um, and now that I've been doing these photo bashing and photo references and kind of piecing everything together, I'm wondering how much do I want to go back and redo stuff, but I don't feel like I have time to redo. I think it's probably just let's pick it up and move forward from here, sort of thing. Oh, damn, this one was fun. So, here I have the map where this part of the map is located, this environment, and then on this environment, I have these specific statues, and they go in a specific order, and da 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 da. But either way, yeah, this one was fun. So it's like these statues are in this location that's over here on the map. You know what I mean? But so those are the props, and then here are the maps. So this is the one that we are talking about. Uh, and you can see here, I've already worked on this environment. I haven't uploaded it to the website yet. I'll probably start uploading like all the ones for here once I get most of them done. Cause damn, I'm still only like a quarter, maybe a third, but probably more like a quarter into this map. And so we've been here for a while. And either way, I've done environment for here, down here, and this ruined city, and also this spot up here. So it's like I'm kind of in this general area. And what I'm going to be working on today is this city here. And it's just like, how do I want to tackle it? What does it do? What does it mean? How does it function? What's going to separate it from the surrounding cities? Like, obviously, this is a destroyed city. So it's like, okay, like obviously this one's not destroyed, so cool. But what's going on here that makes it so special, or that I could at least differentiate it from anything and everything else that I'll be working on later. Um, and it's interesting. I did a little bit of research and I saw that, when I draw these things, I don't really have much going on. Like, as far as like super intentions, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing specific. It's kind of like I kind of just go with the flow and I do things and things get done, and that's just how I do it. But the design elements, it's like, well, if I did it on the fly and that's how I was feeling at that moment, like, let me keep that. So that way I don't have to spend days and days and days thinking about things. I can kind of just get it done, get it out, and move forward. And, you know, since there's so much that I want to do and that I'm trying to work on, like, it makes sense to do it that way, or else, you know, I'll be working on a single item for the rest of my life. And it's like, don't want to do that. Like, let's keep it moving, right? So I'm looking at the structure that I have here for this port that I remember making, and you know, I dig it, I like it. And then I'm also looking at this highway system, and I had some really cool ideas. And then I was like, well, it's kind of covering a lot of the country, like, or this continent, or whatever you want to call it. Um, you know, even if it's just up here in this corner, it's like, well, there's definitely like a structural system. I mean, even in these huts on this side over here, like there's still like walkways on stilts and everything is elevated and off the ground. There seems to be like something happening with the structural system of like the upper half, even though this one's wood, this one's cement, this one's kind of like combination of both, but it's like a marina type setting here, and these are on land, but you know, they're made of different materials. It's like, holy shit, I didn't plan that. I didn't think about that. That's just an observation I made yesterday, which is why I didn't stream yesterday. I was kind of like looking at things, thinking about things. Like I said, kind of moving forward from whatever I have, and this is what I got. So I did some research, I looked some stuff up, and what I wanted to work on today, because I have these two spots available on my page to draw on, and even though I'm enjoying the photo bashing, ultimately those are just me creating references for me to draw from. And I'll probably be doing that moving forward, which also means that I'll be working on an individual thing twice. For instance, like I just did the Cyclops series, and I'm gonna go back and draw that Cyclops, like, because I have to get the full body, um, and I want to get a lot of concept pieces out in order for me to kind of capture this character. I've been doing it in the background, like in a separate sketchbook, but that's only because I've been working on it. I've been thinking about it, but I really need to get these environments here. These are the two that I've been thinking about for like maybe 2 months now. So it's long overdue, and it's about time. And yeah, so today's photo bashing reference that I'm going to be working on is going to be of that city. You know, so we have this here, and I chose this picture to at least start with. And I found some other pictures, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, either way, let's get into it. I'm kind of stalling for time because I'm drinking with my left hand. I got one hand to work with, and this digital art stuff is a two-handed thing for the most part. Yeah. So I have something playing in the background. Let me see. I have Lucid Pixel, but that video is almost over. And I'm gonna test out this new channel, and it's Dark Souls Lore to Sleep To. And it's a guy who makes videos on like the Souls games. And because I'm interested in them, I just want to play it. It's a short 15-minute video. He has like longer ones that last for hours. But before I invest into those, I just like, let me see what this 15-minute bit does. Let me see how much I like it. And if I like it, I'll subscribe to the channel and whatever. And then after that, I just have a whole bunch of like, you know, Loki stuff, One Piece stuff, anime stuff, you know, mostly One Piece. So yeah, let all this stuff play in the background while I start working and quit stalling, right?
People who really have put the time and years of experience into really being full packages of artists. And I cannot commend the mastery behind every single one of these masterpieces enough. So to all of you, thank you very much for joining me. I can't wait till Witcher 4 comes out. I'm counting the days. And
get the size of the image down first. Boom. That way I could start. So yeah, we're gonna do 15 minutes of this channel that I don't know anything about. Channel's called the Ashen Hollow. I mean, if it was what prescribed to me or whatever,
handcrafted refreshers and smoothies made fresh your way at Wawa.
that means YouTube's trying to say like you would like this channel. So we'll see. We'll see.
Vanished dark, and all that stemmed from humanity. And men assumed a fleeting form. These are the roots of our world. Men are props on the stage of life. And no matter how tender, how exquisite, a lie will remain a lie. Now, it's because of this dialogue from Aldia, the scholar of the first sin, that most believe the
Oh shit, this shit's asleep too, for real, for real.
desperation to prolong his age of fire. Be it the undead curse, the linking of the fire, or perhaps them being one and the same. Time is indeed convoluted, but I'd wager there were two other far more grievous sins before the undead curse or the linking of the fire. But of course sin, like most things...
Hey, how come it's not showing me the guide? Come on.
Sleep well, and allow me to weave you the tale of the first sin.
So I'm throwing this guide in as a horizon line. I was hoping it'd be in the bottom third,
More specifically, the witches,
but it looks like it may be half, like somewhere more around here. Can't really see the horizon line because of the mountains, but let's
In the depths of the lost bestial is Sinner's Rise.
there we go.
And imprisoned within
So it's got to be somewhere around here for sure,
her soul reads, "The lost sinner
which is gonna help me when I
pushes herself for the
throw
sake
these
of
other
the past.
pictures in, as far as like aligning the horizon with them.
This would be an easily ignored find, at least in the context we're exploring.
There we go.
But what's cool about Dark Souls 2, as I'm sure most of you know, is that you can acquire the recycled Lord Souls of Gwen, Nito, and the Witch of Izalith from certain bosses. And as it happens, you receive the Witch of Izalith's soul from the Lost Sinner. Then, of course, there's the Chaos Bug that falls within the Lost Sinner's eye before the fight begins. And the pyromancers that fight alongside her, slinging chaos pyromancies, as well as pyromancies developed in Aldean rites. Now, I'm not suggesting that the Lost Sinner is the Witch of Izalith, still paying her penance all these millennia later. It could or could not be, but what's important is that she's no doubt symbolic of the Witch of Izalith.
Still doing all this one-handed. Once I get two hands, I'll work a little more effectively.
The reason I mentioned that pyromancy is created in Aldean rites is because, of course, Aldea is important to knowing what the first sin is.
There we go.
For quick reference, Aldea is both a place and a person. It's not clear whether Aldea, the scholar of the first sin, was named after this place or vice versa. But it seems clear that he sat at the head of whatever hierarchy they had.
I mean, this might be good videos to put on when I go to sleep, for real. There's no no pictures or anything to go along with what he's talking about.
Aldea acquired much knowledge during his various stints of research, and some of that knowledge was...
I guess that's what separates VodiVidia. He has the same soothing voice, but he at least provides like video content with his, what is it, ASMR or something like that?
All things pyromancy lead back to Izalith. And the fact that the Aldeans have created their own is likely...
Good thing I didn't click on a 2-hour video, right?
Take, for example, the description of the bone shield. It reads, "Shield used by Aldean acolytes, crafted from the skull of some creature that outlived its usefulness for experimentation. The peculiar figure known as Lord Aldea kept giants in his mouth and attempted to recreate a dragon, but after some time was not heard from again. So they began to craft equipment out of the bones or skulls of creatures they experimented on. With that in mind, we can look at the similarity of the Aldean warlocks' masks and the cleric demons from
All right, let
within the
me
demon
chug
runes,
this.
which implies that they even experimented on chaos demons. Not to mention that Aldean himself is bathed in fire. Now, that could be because of his connection to the bonfire, or that he became a corporeal form of the flame itself. But that's a rabbit hole for another time.
There we go.
But Aldea does cast flame sorceries, which predates even pyromancy.
All right, two
You see
hands.
him casting what looks
Let's
to be some
go.
sort of flame version of homing soul mass. The Izalith staff description from Dark Souls 3 reads, Ancient catalyst of the Witch of Izalith and her daughters, used long before the dawn of chaos and pyromancy. With the birth of the Chaos Flame, the Flame Witches were at once both sorcerers and shamans. And as far as I know, they were the only ones to practice actual flame sorcery, as the Witch's Lord Soul was the life soul in the source of life plus fire. And we know sorceries are the power of the soul. So, Aldea being able to cast flame sorceries isn't coincidental, especially considering that the Lost Sinner holds on to the witch's recycled soul. We know that the Lost Bastille predates Vendrick's reign, but we know that he had to employ its use, especially after the undead curse broke out, as it's guarded by the ruined sentinels, which are said to be a soul that haunts the armor they inhabit. Which isn't surprising given the research both Vendrick and Aldea put into the manipulation of souls while trying to figure out a cure for undeath. Aldea, I believe, very much studied the witch's soul and learned of her legacy as well as her sins. In fact, it appears that he studied Izalith in as much extent as he did the ancient dragons, and being the scholar of the first sin, that seems rather relevant. Also, take for example all the references of Izalith and its sin. Come to think of it, there's hardly any references of any specific sins within the game besides the events of Izalith, which is even less ambiguous than the goddess of sin herself. The Lost Sinner is symbolic to the sins of Izalith in every way, even to the weapon mechanics. When using her sword, it eats away at your health, just like the Chaos Blade. The floating chaos.
All right. Let's get to some
The second episode of Loki confirmed
Something else.
what we've been speculating about for months, that causing much of this chaos is a female Loki variant. But what if she's not the actual villain the TVA is making her out to be? This is Rogue Theory, the show where we pitch the wildest theories for the titles we love. I'm Eric Voss. Going rogue with me today is MT.
Hey, what's going on, buddy? What's going on, everybody? It's the Rogue.
Let's get rogue. Also here with us is Jess Clemens. Hello, Jessica.
I need a hero. Oh, sorry. I love this episode, and the beginning of it was really good. I'm so excited to talk about episode 2.
And joining us today, special guest star, friend and comedian Matt Acevedo.
Hey, it's good to be back. What's up, everybody?
What's going on? All right,
Here, let's
talk
do
about
this.
this
Give myself a
episode of
guide.
Loki. So, the second episode, we finally meet the Loki variant, and the TVA has been hunting down Sabia DiMartino, playing a female Loki.
This
That
tree
is
line.
Lady Loki, just based on the TVA identifying her as a Loki variant. Loki's sex being listed as fluid on the forums. That one broken horn on her crown, that kind of looks like how Lady Loki looks in the comics. But really, this whole idea that this woman might be a female body that Loki's soul possessed, since we know they can do kind of soul swapping, consciousness swapping with this version of the character. But if you look at this episode's international credits and actually another clue that you see earlier in the episode on forum where it says Sylvie Laufey-Dotzi, which is like a Laufey daughter instead of Laufey's son, we think this character could just be named Sylvie, which might make her based on Sylvie Lushton, Enchantress, from that same comic run. So we're not really sure exactly what direction they're going. I'm thinking it could be just a mix of both characters, like maybe after Loki's death by Thanos in Infinity War, his soul might have reattached to some Oklahoma woman named Sylvie, and that became the State Trek variant. Or there's some other alternate timeline where instead of Laufey's son, it became Laufey's daughter, and that's who Sylvie is. But we have to ask, do you think this female variant could be working on behalf of or maybe against some greater threat? Because they introduced her so early. So what do you think this female variant's connection will ultimately be with the core conflict of this series? Is she the big bad, or is there someone else in the shadows still?
I don't think that this Lady Loki or this Sylvie character, whoever she ends up being, is going to be the big bad of the series. Because, like Jess said before, we do hear that when she first, appears and kills all those people. And no, killing does not make you a hero. I'm not saying that right now. She does, Loki does tend to, when he is this good person, he does do good things in a not so great way. So I think that we have this Loki variant, potentially being a hero, but killing all these people for her own ends. And I think that the mysterious real villain of the show could actually be Mobius. Because I really do think that Mobius is Loki. I know this sounds crazy, and this is why I'm bringing it up on Rogue Theory, because I'm going real rogue here. But there's just something about the way that the show is shot, and the conversation between Loki and Mobius that makes me feel like Lady Loki is going after Mobius himself. She wants Mobius specifically, and Mobius is like, all right, I'm not gonna go out and expose myself. I'm gonna let the TVA agents get killed, and he's just trying to bring down this Lady Loki specifically because she has his number. She wants it dead. So
I mean, don't you think if she was after Mobius, she had the God's eye view of that entire superstore? Why would she have gone to B-15 and Loki and mess with them? Why would she just walked over to Mobius and mess with him?
Because this is true. I don't know. Maybe Loki's work in mysterious ways, but I just don't trust Mobius Loki. I think that there's a grander plan going on, and via time travel, and maybe Mobius Loki, or she knows more information that we are not privy to, which is why she did what she did.
You know what I was thinking, MTV, when I was watching this episode? I kept being like, MTV is so... He thinks Mobius is a Loki. I need to pay attention to, everything he does to see what is Loki of him. And then I was like, what is the... So I'm asking you this question, I guess. What is the chance that he is, he who remains? What if Mobius is the oldest living time, keeper? What if he... Because, I feel like in the comics, yeah, he's old and whatever, and, prehistoric. But what if in this, he's just someone that doesn't really age in the TVA, and he's undercover, or not even undercover, he's just yeah, I'm the oldest variant, and you're f***ing all this stuff up, and how can I get in this, but with just working closer to you? Do you think that's a situation that could possibly happen? Or are you just so, no, he has to.
No, first of all, I like how you said undercover. Right. You just described undercover boss. He's he who remains hiding in the TVA. I'm spying on my employees today, making sure that they're doing what
that is. Wait, talk to SNL, do another sketch of this, you can direct it. That's actually a great idea. No one copies. That's actually
to add on to MT's theory though, I didn't think about this. I'm not gonna lie. You came in, guns blazing, I'm like, whoa! I didn't think of that. But to add on to it, there is this really great exchange between Loki and Mobius, and that exchange they're talking about Loki talking about how I'm come from Asgard. What's weird about that? And they're talking about life and how we don't know what everyone's life is like and stuff like that. And then Mobius starts talking about I was born here. I'm lucky I was born here. I got to live this pretty safe life. And to add to that, maybe that is Loki trying to get away from the chaos that is his space drama family of Asgard and Jotunheim, and him wanting to be have something a little more day to day. Maybe that is Loki. I kind of like that.
I'm all that Mobius is Loki.
Hold on.
Hardcore. I don't know why. I just feel it in my bones. Yes.
It would be great for like a cinematic
Okay.
twist to be like, oh, you've been working with yourself this entire time. But then it still would be so like upsetting to be like, oh, why would you hire this variant Loki when you're a Loki? Couldn't you have found yourself? There's no, I don't know.
Maybe
That's the only
Loki's
quarrel
point
that I would
is
have.
going around killing Lokis. Like maybe he's killing like the best Loki so he can
Yeah.
be superior Loki. And then he's
He's, like,
blaming it
trying
on
to-
this lady Loki. He's like, oh, she's killing him. Like, I don't know. There could be
Yeah,
some weird
I-
twist.
Or he could
I
be
don't know,
using
really crazy.
he could be using our Loki. He could be using our Loki as the like, oh, this Loki that we're with that keeps running away when we're fighting stuff is the one that's
Yeah.
killing people. I'm not.
And why
killing
else?
them.
Why else is he
I
eating?
know.
Why else is he
I'm
drinking
ruining
Goku
this
juice
timeline.
and John's
I'm
to soda?
ruining,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm ruining the timeline of Mobius equals Loki. I'm sorry. It's an interesting theory.
I don't agree with it.
It
I
remains
don't
to be
agree with
seen.
it, but-
There's lots of questions I have to it. Most of them
Yeah.
that completely deflate the argument, but I'm not going to do that here because I want to hopefully see if this comes to pass. Let's bark up another tree, though.
Yes.
Could there be someone who we have not met yet? There's Richard E. Grant, who's going to be playing some role in this show. Like, I just want to know, what do you think the origins of this female variant are? Is she an alternate timeline Loki who just kind of did like a sex chromosome switching randomly? Was that the variant there? Did Laufey bear a kid in an alternate timeline who just happened to be female? Are they doing Sylvie Lushton? What do you guys think?
I like the idea of her being Sylvie. I love the idea of her being Sylvie, just because we all are like, this is Lady Loki, this is Lady Loki. Also, in the second episode, I know this is Rogue Theory, you guys. We're supposed to read too much into things. There's a part in the episode where she's like, please, you're more like me. So what if there is an alternate timeline where instead of in the original comic books where Sylvie's just like how Wanda brought her kids in, is like a piece of a Loki, where it's reversed, where Loki's a piece of her. And so she's just like, I'm your mother at the end of the day. Because we also know that like Hela is like, in mythology is like what, his daughter? Or well, like there's different, like it's like the daughter. Yeah, there's like a sister, a daughter, a partner. There's so many things that there's so many different timelines with Loki that we could have this be like just completely flipped and have Sylvie be the mom. Or just like in a different timeline, she created a Loki.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I love that.
I know a lot of people have been saying Kang. I'm like, oh no, Kang. But you know, I part of me feels like it's a little too early for that, and I kind of think, I do think that there is something that I believe this Loki is our Loki. I watch a lot of Doctor Who, and it feels very like oh, like this was meant to happen, all that kind of stuff. I kind of think someone's playing Loki because we're seeing a lot of Loki seeing, you know, his failures in the main timeline, seeing him, the death of his family, of Asgard, all this stuff, the death of himself. So I do believe that, you know, the variant is our Loki in the future because they're trying. I think they're all about right now. Loki's about redemption. We even hear Owen Wilson, you know, the TVA Owen Wilson. We even hear Mobius like talking about him, you know, how he's just like this broken child, all this stuff. And I think that someone is playing, you know, the variant to kind of do these acts to save what now is Asgard, because there's new Asgard on Earth, and we're seeing a lot of Roxport, and I'm thinking that it's actually gonna. I think it's the person at top is the CEO of Roxxon, Dario Agger, who
Oh, sure.
I kind of think that because in the comics, you know, Jason Aaron's run deals all this really great. You know, Dario Agger messes with Thor and deals with new Asgard and kind of manipulates everything to like the fall of Asgard and like all this kind of stuff. I kind of think we're going to see Dario sooner than later. We're seeing a lot of Roxxon everywhere, and I kind of think that he's going to be playing the cards to get Loki to like mess with the time variant, you know, the TVA, to like, you know, and they're going to want to do it to save Asgard and redeem themselves.
Oh.
I like that idea a lot. Yeah.
I
Hey.
Think of Dario
I
Agger.
would-
hate you,
Makes a
bro.
lot of sense.
Thanks! Woo! Yeah! We're talking time. It's all wibbly wobbly anyways, you know what I mean?
Yeah, really about my timeline, you know.
Yeah, it might be Kang, but I think this would be really fun, personally.
So you think that ultimately, like, Asgard is the, like, heart and soul of this?
I do. I think New Asgard specifically.
New Asgard.
Yeah, I don't.
Not the one in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't think that Loki's gonna not go to New Asgard. I don't think. I think we're gonna see, you know, oh, this is what has become. Like, this is what they are thriving, they are doing this, and then someone's gonna come in and mess with things. You're like, I want to step in and like, I know the ins and outs of the TVA. Let me deal with this.
I like the idea of Asgard being that stronger than the TVA versus Asgard, essentially. Like it's just like the TVA is so big, and it's like, well, I'm doing all this for
Yeah.
Asgard, so
It's kind of sad that Loki wouldn't do this for Jotunheim. It's like it's blood,
Never would. He
No
doesn't
way.
give a shit about your back.
He's all about
Did
the
he try
status.
to destroy Jotunheim in the first one? He was just gonna blast the Bifrost.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
that's a good one. That's a rogue theory.
That is
That's
that's a rogue.
That's a rogue.
Jess, do you have any thoughts on who could be a villain, or do you think it's gonna be?
Oh yeah, I said just that I like Sylvie as Sylvie. I don't think it's no. I just okay. So that's a different theory, but. I think I'm sticking with my guns, which is kind of vague, but we're also only on the second episode where on the last road theory I was like the TVA is ultimately gonna be the big bad. They're obviously like pushing this narrative that like Loki has to be good, he can't be the hero, so they're like we need you to fix all this shit. Like you can't die, hero. You're our timeline. Or you're messing up my timeline. Sorry, I forget you guys have to leave things out. And so you're messing up the timeline. But side note, now as we're getting further in, there's more people talking online. I also don't think Kang the Conqueror is coming, but we can't act like his what? Yeah, we can't act like she's not there. Like, right? We can't. I feel like not enough people are talking about the fact that she's there in this series, and there's gonna be something. I don't know if it's gonna be the same thing that happened in Doctor Strange, where we're like she's been lied to this entire time by the TVA, which makes her turn. But it's like. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that she's a bad person, but I think she's gonna be she's gonna be like she's gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be like Captain. Oh my god, Captain America, the new Captain. She's gonna be like she's gonna be so blinded by the TVA that she's just gonna be doing bad things. So I think I don't think I think the TVA ultimately is bad. Maybe that umbrella is
Okay.
encompassing her.
This is what I
as
have to
well.
do.
Because it's just like now I'm seeing her more that I'm like, she's gonna do something. Like she's gonna do something. When she picked up her freaking stick, whatever you want to call that weapon, I was like, she's pushing herself in this to try to fix it, but she's gonna make it worse.
Yeah, I think she might be an unwitting.
There we go.
Yeah.
I know what I gotta do.
She's fitness judge for the TVA. I think we can all agree.
At least I think I do.
Its design, if not outright corrupt or malintentioned.
Okay.
But I think she's just like carrying out. She's just following orders. She's doing her job.
What if?
She's not, and she might have to make a moral choice at some point.
I was gonna say what if, but then I think that's too close to every. It always comes back to me with like.
Alright,
it's too close to what
time
happened
to
with Shield, with the
get
situation of,
loosey-goosey with
what
this
if someone's
one.
in there acting like so if we didn't have a Mobius Loki, would that be too close to like the whole Shield and Hydra situation of like someone's in here?
They're all LMDs,
We're
guys.
talking
They're all
out
light model decoys.
Yeah.
I feel like LMD.
We're talking it out. We're talking it out.
The MCU arc is gonna be LMD. But I don't know. I feel like we're doing Secret Invasion soon, and we're doing like
Yeah.
variants and all that stuff. Like I feel like. And Loki's like a shapeshifter. I feel like Marvel's just like whatever at this point. Like, things aren't what they seem sometimes, and like that's okay.
There we go. I'm gonna have to go through it piece by piece. Make it sexy.
The MCU, so that's probably because all the
Yeah.
branches of timelines.
Well, we just created the multiverse, right?
But-
That's what that meant. In the MCU,
Mhm.
now Loki, the Loki variant has created the multiverse.
Or recreate it.
And
I
we
think
don't know
there
how
once
many
was-
times, how many doors that she. Oh, there was a multiverse first. There was the
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just, the multiverse now is just like
this one, we don't know where she's
the
going.
multiverse is still existing. It's just not allowed
Yeah.
to grow. Which is,
Are we supposed to assume that Lady Loki, has been going into every door and making every time bomb?
Well, no. I mean, I think we have 4 more episodes. They may successfully prune most of these. I think, or it could get
Yeah.
worse, caused by someone else, or it could all get completely unraveled, and
True.
then someone trying to restart the sacred timeline makes the multiverse of madness.
See, sometimes this is why I kind of just draw these things in the past.
Messed up.
Making these references is so much work on their own. It's like, man, I might as well just draw it on my own, just on the fly, like how I did it in the past.
Some sort of disaster, right? maybe this Loki is trying to prevent some
So
big disaster.
everything that I'm doing here would be stuff that I like do in my head
Or something,
as I'm drawing. But that's why those videos, whenever I draw an environment, always takes like 4 or 5 hours, because it's all the thinking that has to go into these things.
They're making sure that, like, not Ragnarok, but New Asgard, like,
Yeah.
doesn't go under. And all of them are, their souls are all spurted all over the place. Maybe there is a Loki. That's
Yeah, because there's a lot of crazy, Asgardian realms crap that happens. So like, I'm sure there's so many disasters that Loki could be actually trying to prevent and throwing the scent off by like doing all this stuff everywhere else. I don't know.
No,
I think that's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
And that's a point that's gonna get you a rogie, my friend. That plus your Dario Agger
Oh.
idea.
Excellent.
So you win this round, Max. But there's still another conversation I want to have in a moment. First, some announcements. Over at NewRockstarsMerch.com, we have unveiled the 4th shirt design in our limited edition latest Obsession series, Loki Out of Time. Buying the latest Obsession shirt will give you the ability to leave a message on our Inside Marvel Loki After Show with either a shout out or your own road theory, and it'll show up on screen during the show. And we've got a full lineup of Loki inspired merch, including an augmented reality shirt, and mint stickers, TVA buttons, and other cool stuff that hasn't even been released yet. So go find it all over at NewRockstarsMerch.com. And we want to thank Stamps.com for sponsoring this episode. Are you still going to the post office and paying full price for postage? Well, thanks to Stamps.com, you don't have to anymore. Mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer. Stamps.com brings the services of the U.S. Postal Service and UPS right to your computer, whether you're a small office sending invoices, a side hustle Etsy shop shipping out orders, or just navigating this hybrid work life. Stamps.com can handle.
Oh man, this smudge tool, it's taking forever, huh?
1 million businesses choose Stamps.com for their mailing and shipping. Once your mail is ready, just schedule a pickup or drop it off. With Stamps.com, you'll get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 66% off UPS shipping rates. Stamps.com is a no-brainer, saving you time and money. So stop wasting time going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There's no risk, and with promo code ROGUE, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the at the top of the homepage, and type in ROGUE. That's Stamps.com, promo code ROGUE. Stamps.com never goes to the post office again. We also want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Is there something
how do I want to break this up?
Yeah, hey, you lose a lot of sleep when you're trying to find all the Easter eggs in Loki, and sometimes you need that sleep, and then, the things that you miss start to weigh on you, and you just need someone to talk to. Well, BetterHelp is a great person to talk to, because BetterHelp will assess your needs.
Commercials, I'm not even paying attention.
Professional therapist. You can start communicating.
Come on, man. Nobody wants to listen to commercials.
HELP and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Special offer for the Rogue Theory audience: 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/Rogue. Let's move on to some Spider-Man news. There's this tweet this week from Sony Argentina that caused a bit of a stir because it shows the logo for the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home film with a glitching logo that many say is reminiscent of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, could this be hinting at a connection between two different film universes? Or is this maybe the presence of Jamie Foxx's Electro causing everything to glitch? What does this mean? Go Rogue, my baby.
God, I hope so. I hope to God that they're going to cross over into the Spider-Verse with, whatever live-action Sony Spider-Verse plans.
Let's start this one here.
Into the Spider-Verse is fantastic. And, they've already set at the end of the new Spider-Verse one, they do set up, this greater Spider-Verse adventure. So, if that Spider-Verse adventure ties into whatever they're doing in No Way Home, let's get it. I'm all about it. So I think there is a possibility there. I don't see why not. Though the times, in terms of the release of these films, sort of line up, and Sony seems full speed ahead with their Spider-Verse plan. So maybe this could actually be. I think it could. I think it could very well be a Spider-Verse tease.
I do think that's going to be related to the multiverse, and I think that Spider-Verse, Miles and Peter, everyone's multiverse is part of that. I don't think it's going to be directly. I don't think we're going to see as much, of Miles and stuff into this. I think it's going to just be oh, this exists within that scope, but I don't think we're going to get that just yet. So Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying. Like you're
Yeah.
saying that like the Into the Spider-Verse, like whatever they're doing, is gonna be it might be referenced in a live action type deal, but like it's pretty much its own separate thing.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be directly correlated to Electro, though, from Amazing Spider-Man. I really do. I think that's like the connection. He's coming in from a multiverse. Maybe, I mean, people know Peter Parker Spider-Man, so that's going to tap into some. He's going to reach out to someone for help, maybe Doctor Strange or whatever. But it's going to cause some sort of risk, which will allow, which will bring Electro over. I think that's Electro's the thread there. I don't think we're going to see just yet. I do think that Spider-Verse the movie will have a cameo of some sort. I think they're going to go there. I don't think No Way Home is. I don't think No Way Home is.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think just because Sony is definitely developing its own thing with the animated version with that world, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they start to cross-reference each other. But I do think it's pretty possible that in the live-action side of things, we might get a character named Miles Morales introduced. And I think Sony should do it sooner rather than later, because that's a fascinating character and he needs to be in live action.
Do you think it's going to be related to Aaron Davis, Tom's lover?
But they already did the homework. They already established a character named Miles, who's Donald Glover's nephew, living in this universe. They could just cast him.
But you're thinking it's going to be that Miles from our MCU universe, not a different Miles, right?
Well, yeah, it would be if No Way Home is MCU. Yeah, it's in this weird kind of Venn diagram overlap between Sony's thing, but it's technically MCU.
There could be a possibility that Doc Ock and him are variants that are now jumping timelines, or jumping out.
No, I think that is 1,000% what is going to happen because Electro died in his movie. Like that, Jamie Foxx Electro is dead. And I think that whatever characters we are going to get are going to be some type of variant.
You guys just blow my mind. You guys are so great. That's amazing. I love that. I just want to see that in some form. That's amazing.
Well, it'd be funny, or not funny, but it'd be fun if like the opening is like not even an opening, but if when the villains are appearing in No Way Home, it's just like shock lightning from the sky and out drops just Electro, and it's just,
that would be cool.
I made it. I made it to this timeline. But no, I think I was like. I really did believe. I was like, of course it was a connection. I watched the clip. I watched the electric part, and it does look the same as the Spider-Verse animation when it says like Sony Studios. So I did believe that those were connected. But listening to Matt talk, I don't think it's connected. That's true. I agree. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's definitely most likely not going to connect to the animated stuff. But like, I think it'd be fun.
It's probably just it's doing exactly what it's meant to do. It's getting us talking about the movie before any trailers come out, keep it fresh and relevant, you know what I mean? It's just a red herring, It's like,
All right, great theories, everyone. Let's move on to Rogue Question. So our question today is, A Quiet Place 2 was the top movie at the box office last week, and it's become the first movie of 2021 to make $100 million. So what is the quietest way that they can celebrate their accomplishment?
I think they should do a silent disco.
They're so unsettling when you don't have the headphones in.
I like it, but then when you take them off, it's that immediate instant of like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever been to.
I got a real weird one. I kind of think they've been working hard, I don't know if they shot the third one yet, but look, they need a break, so they're all going to go to one of those, like, sensory, like, depraved rooms that's, like, there's, like, a little bit of water, and they're just going to lie there. But then, like, they're each going to go to each other's rooms and, like, just, like, ASMR, like, and then they're going to take turns, you know what I mean?
That's a really fun one. You know what? Honestly, to me,
That's a fun
let's just
one.
do like a mind pinata. It's just like there's no actual stuff. It's just like it's a fake pinata, fake stick, and you just swing it. Just having a fake. It's a fake stick. No one talks. It's just
No fake pinata, no fake stick.
You use your imagination.
It's just space work.
How do you
There's a
know
bunch of
it's
space
pinata?
When they eat the imaginary food. Come on, man. It's all about the imagination.
I do want to see all three, but unfortunately we're going to have one winner, and the winner is going to be Matt this episode. Congratulations, Matt. And thank you to all three of you. There's a lot of great conversation here happened for Ruby. I can't wait to see episode 3. But that is it for this episode of Rogue Theory. Thank you to all three of our guests, Jessica Clement, NT, Matt Acevedo. Follow all all of them on their social medias and support their various projects. You can support our channel by checking in with our new Loki themed merch at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me at EA Boss, follow New Rockstars, subscribe here on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Gucci Guilty, Tom, Eau de Buffalo.
Wawa's handcrafted refreshers and smoothies, made fresh your way at Wawa. Only you need to know me. I will be the
All right, some Vinland D talking about One Piece stuff. I just throw stuff on a playlist, so I don't know what he's talking about, but it's One Piece related.
So I was going to hold off on this video and instead give you guys a video that would perhaps put this video into greater context. But the idea is so interesting to me that I just wanted to share with all of you. But first, this video will contain spoilers for chapter 10,010. If you haven't read the chapter yet, go and do so, or maybe you're waiting for us to do an official read, which is cool with you. Because this video will be linking some elements from chapter 10,010 as well as knowing facts to consider what Funker's hockey means. For Ruby versus Kaido and the hypothetical power that Funky may still need to overcome Kaido. But they also add that I don't think Kaido is going all out for luck. For me, the fact that Wano is so defined by the concept of a conqueror, that Wano is Luffy's greatest test thus far in his journey to become Pirate King, that Kaido has repeatedly tried to break Luffy's spirit upon their initial introduction on the mainland, and the consequent reunion in Kaido comes with the way that Shima speaks to chapter 10,010, that everything really has been leading up to this moment, preparing Luffy for the fight that he will. So let's begin with the end of the chapter because that is what really propelled the idea of the move. Kaido stands alone before what appears to be an empty battlefield. His foes lay scattered about the terrain as he basks, and what he thinks is his victory. With his back turned toward the ruins of Izuku's conquered remains, Kaido's mind wanders off into the distance of the vast arena and he declares the outcome of duty. That together, if Luffy had joined him, they could have taken over the world. But then Luffy rises in all of these things. He bounces back from their defeat. Join me, he says. Never, none of us would. A samurai never cries. I'm definitely going to send you far. It's important to realize that when given the opportunity and Luffy says he's going to do something, be it knocking out an opponent or something else, Luffy does just that. So if he says there's some kind of formula, he will. We do get a flashback of the overlay of the cloud back in Udon prison, telling Luffy that putting himself in hockey should allow you to devastate your opponents. From the inside out, the concept of Ryu, the word for hockey in Wano, that embodies the notion of hockey flow, that to achieve a vast career, Luffy must stop forcing and simply let the energy, the spirit flow. The will one's own soul or hockey to act, as if it were another local body, no different than an arm or a leg. In its natural expression of arm
see something. Alright, so if I want to capture this area, there we go. Let me turn that on. I wonder if there's even easier way of doing this. Yeah, because this isn't working out either. Not how I want it to work out, at least. Okay. There, what if I just take this? There we go. That ain't bad. There we go. I might be on the right road now. Right track.
Can only be achieved by a handful of powerful individuals. Kyle also alludes to something I spoke of in my advanced Conquerors hockey video. While Luke will be the king of kings, their conquerors can escape and master the insidious forces of wealth and death that would claim the lives of ordinary men. Kyle says Luke escaped death for the last time, implying the last BRDC Ragnarok should have killed him. Now, a little over 10 or 15 minutes into the video, I'm not keeping count, let's finally break down DO5, given everyone touched upon it. And one note that side of DO5 and top 2 terms, before we embrace some of the broad speculations, limit breaking. Whatever DO5 or maybe not DO5, but whatever Loki's next gear will be, I
There
think
we
it
go.
will incorporate some caps and require limitations, as each of Loki's other gears has already done. Power, speed, durability, all these things will be increased by unimaginable amounts. I can't even go into words what it will look like if I go to your full body out. Including one's body and focus hockey means that Luffy is somewhat different from the regular armor hockey use of foot, and maintain that foot for a limited amount of time. Luffy will no longer be the regular hockey. Perhaps his newly coated gears and the conquerors will no longer have a time limit that Luffy will break the time limit. He immediately uses conquerors hockey from his entirely new gear. Luffy just combined conquerors hockey with other gears as a possibility. One would be too extra. Many already doubt the need for a gear 5 years Kyle, but I see some reason for it actually. First, I said this on Twitter a while back, but Luffy versus Kyle reminds me of the Dark Pony arc in Yu Hakusho. The Goro was a monster with strength and speed just like Kyle, and he never seemed to really be going all out, having different percentages of his full ability on display at a given time. Without spoiling the outcome, spirit is key to find someone like the Goro, and so for Luffy, spirit conquers hockey is the key to taking down Kyle. But a strong spirit won't be enough. Kyle's fast and strong. Luffy will need to match Kyle's power for every way, speed and strength. And if Kyle is yet to go all out, Luffy must continue to grow, for that he might require another gear, one perhaps coated in conquerors hockey. If we were to theorize on what this new gear of Gear 5 could do, it involves advanced reading in conquerors. We don't have to look any further at Far War in Chapter 1010. Luffy clashes with Kaido without actually making contact, using spiritual force to
Okay.
Odin too was amazed, like Ron Chapter 2010, that blades or fists keep alive without actually doing so, that souls could dance without swinging in each other's arms. So a gear that revolves around the spiritual enhancement and bettering the spirit, hockey missions, whatever you want to call it, is similar to some Goku and Buddha and his chapters, don't you think? And maybe blast from the hockey, right? That's the hockey without actually touching the person. Goku's gear 4 is inspired from the Buddha. I read that somewhere. Gear 4 don't mind it's like the Buddha statues. Gear 4 resembles the wisdom plants. Theodore also inspired resembles the wisdom king, and when you see his form characterized by his flowing hair and open palm, with a sword in the other hand. I always put this as I think that we, or hockey flows, like Theodore's hair, decide once and for all who the king of the jungle really is, you will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment box below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click that notification bell. As always, there's more to come. Until next time, I'll see you all. Bye-bye.
Only you need to know me. I will be the one.
Have you ever wondered what separates some kings from others? The pirate king who never accept that highest of thrones. I believe such a man, such a person, is defined by a spirit that wills the very world to bow beneath. And by the end of this video, I hope you will understand exactly why, and just how Luffy's greatest ability is conquering spirit, which is sidetracked to the freedom he seeks to bring to the overseas. So, the discussion for this video, I guess you could call it theory, and one that has been brought up by others, but I don't think anyone has gone into what I'm about to go into. But we're going to talk about the secret of conquerors and why I think we might be rushing to judgment and calling what Luffy did in this chapter necessarily advanced. As usual, Oda will have to tell us himself, but when I think of advanced hockey, specifically as it pertains to categories, I think of future sight or observation hockey. There are various ways in which observation can be used that deviate from the standard methods. In general, it is sensing your surroundings. Some like Luffy and Sanji appear capable of using their observation in unique ways. Sanji can hear the very teardrops or screams of women and rush to their exact location when they need help. This either reflects his unique personality or the fact that he trained his observation for many years over the time scale. Luffy's observation grants him a unique emotional intelligence over the page. This is further confirmed by Rayleigh when explaining how sun can sense the future, and that such an ability is not easy to learn. Upon wandering through the prison, we receive an explanation for techniques that have been shown to us 3 times skill, the power of Ryu, or Haki Flow. I bring this up because similar to advanced conquerors, which we'll get to shortly, people rush to claim Ryu in and of itself was an advanced technique. Rather, Ryu is just a different way of using arm and Haki. It is Wano's name for Haki. It is flowing your Haki rather than coating it. But if you are a swordsman, you will float your Haki to a blade or external object to then coat. So in the process of doing this, you end up accidentally learning this technique, Ryu, as do so many of the fighters of samurai at Wano. However, just like with observation, there are levels to arm and Haki as well, and we see Luffy learn to use advanced arm and Haki. Now, the funny thing about Oda's power system is he has good explanations, but they aren't always the best, and don't tend to always encompass every question the reader has or every scenario that plays out in the story. For example, there is what Hyuga can do with Ryu, which appears to be an advanced technique at first, but then there's also what Luffy and Rayleigh can do, which Hyuga describes as an ability beyond his own capacity. This I would call advanced armament Haki, a level of armament, of blowing Haki into the body of another to destroy it from within, that surpasses basic armament or Ryu or Haki Flow, just as Katakuri's future sight was still greater than whatever enhanced observation that they had developed by the end of their fight. So now that we have established how there are levels to this, all this, what about conquerors? Well, for this part of the discussion, let's address chapter 1010. We see a moment after Luffy is pummeled by Yonko's greatest attack of the first period, Ragnarok. Luffy rises thereafter and says he finally realized what happened the first time Kaido knocked him out. It was a reflection of the gap in strength between the two, the power of one conqueror over another, a greater will, a greater spirit, perhaps you could say a more advanced spirit, had subdued his own. Kaido has coated his club with conqueror's Haki, we think. As we then see Luffy imitate this ability, it's important to understand what exactly is taking place and why this technique may or may not fall into the category of advanced, at least in terms of a higher tier of conqueror's Haki, a higher level. So what I believe is happening, given the flashback with Hyuga about advanced Ryu or armament Haki, is that Luffy has taken the concept of flowing Haki, flowing spirit, to apply this to flowing's conquering spirit. That is, Luffy can coat himself with conqueror's Haki as he would coat himself with armament, and he can flow his conqueror's Haki as he would flow his armament Haki. At the end of the day, it's all the same, except the conquering spirit is greater than the regular one, which is why Kaido says only a select few can do this. To begin, Silver's Rayleigh was the first to pass on some lessons about conquerors of Haoshoku Haki. He told Luffy about its uniqueness, that the mysterious power of Haki is actually found in every living being in the world, which makes sense because Haki is spirit, presence, or and other things, and most people do not notice it or fail to awaken it. Observation and armament are said to be the two main shades of Haki, which leaves conquerors as a sort of anomaly, an anomaly that is so rare that only a select group of chosen ones, one in a million, can use it. Rayleigh goes on to say that conqueror's Haki is the embodiment of the spirit of the user. It can be controlled, but it cannot be trained, which hints at another video I'm working on. And he also tells us conquerors is the power to overwhelm, and there's this ominous warning by him, which I only just realized now, about the dangers of overusing the ability. We'll get to this in a moment, but as it relates to advanced conquerors, given the definition we've gone over, can we truly say Luffy floating his conqueror's Haki is advanced in the same way that Future Sight is, sensing something before it even happens, or advanced Ryu, or armored Haki that damages from the inside, an attack that your opponent cannot block? Flowing conquerors to his fist seems to have allowed Luffy to overwhelm, in the words of Rayleigh, Kaido's defenses, Kaido's own Haki, will, and dragon scales. Because Kaido is a conqueror and can presumably coat himself in conqueror's Haki too, it would take a conqueror to damage him. Just as Zoro told Pika on Dressrosa that as it concerned armored Haki, the stronger armored user would be victorious, just as we can assume Law is able to cut Virgo against. Law's Haki of Delphi was greater than Virgo's own will. But let's enter the main idea of this video by referencing Rayleigh's words again. Conqueror's Haki is the embodiment of the user's spirit. It is the power to overwhelm. This seems to allude to Conqueror's Haki being, and of all the Haki abilities, the power to fight with your spirit. A power that allows your spirit to do battle. And if this is true, advanced conquerors manifest their spirits in ways that affect the very world, breaking limits, transforming their own abilities, defying life and death, and just maybe mastering nature itself. That last point is key to this video, so remember it. But rather than go over everything again I mentioned about advanced conqueror's Haki, just search the video on the screen and watch it because it kind of serves as an introduction to this video and goes over examples of people that fit the description of various ways to use conqueror's Haki. I'll just say that conquerors can be weaponized. You can by flowing into a fist or a blade, as would appear Whitebeard and Roger and maybe even Ode and Kozuki did. Surpass prior limitations. Enhance your own strength. It's possible if the spirit becomes a weapon, you can manifest techniques that are born of the spirit, not the body. In some cases, when the body is exhausted, the spirit can be relied upon, while the body might be starved, dehydrated, covered in damage and mortal injuries, mortal wounds. The spirit might yet rise in place of the body to fight, refusing to lose. We see many examples of this in the story. That which should have knocked you out or killed you does not. When death comes for a king refuses to bow. A king decides when it is his time to die. I think Zoro is an often overlooked example of all of this. When fighting Kaku, Zoro had suffered a lot of damage, and consequently he enters a form known as Ashura. And Kaku, upon noticing the demon god with 3 faces and 6 arms, questions how Zoro can create an illusion like this with his fighting spirit. Emphasis on fighting spirit. In my opinion, this was Oda's way of representing or depicting Zoro's conquerors. That again, conquerors' Haki can be weaponized. That conquerors can fight with their spirits when their bodies have run out of juice or energy. The interesting thing about Ashura in Hindu mythology is Ashuras are said to be power seekers. They crave strength. The words demonic, powerful, divine, and mighty are often attributed to them. And so the idea of a powerful spirit being unleashed by Zoro actually makes the idea of conquerors and Ashura more believable. In that moment, on the cusp of defeat, overcoming a path of, in his words, pain and suffering, Zoro craved greater strength, greater power, and it was unleashed in the form of a conquering Ashura spirit. The mythology of the Ashura, the additional arms and the heads, and the 9-sword style reflect not just the multiplication of limbs and blades, but power overall. That Zoro's power had tripled in strength.
Hold on, did I merge those two?
Zoro's way of conquering the demon within himself. As many
There we
others
go.
believe. We know conquerors contain animals. Zoro's demonic world has always been a mystery. Maybe Zoro overwhelmed the spirit of his cursed sword, since Rayleigh says conquerors can overwhelm the spirits of others. Maybe instead of luck, instead of predetermination or Zoro subconsciously relies on his will to withstand the curse of the Kitetsu. Maybe Mihawk had conquered the curse within his own soul. It's Black Blade Yoga. Maybe Law, Shuri, and others don't realize they are conquerors because all their energy is spent controlling and overwhelming the curse of their own blades. Otherwise, why would Oda bother to call them cursed swords? They have no downside or curse side effect. Just as Zoro is the only one to tame Enma aside from Odin because Odin was also a conqueror. Each had to overwhelm the spirit of the blade. Each had to conquer it. And Luffy was able to wield the Nidai Kitetsu for the very same reason. Luffy is a conqueror. Conquerors can master the spirits of others and other things. And the most advanced conquerors should be able to go a step beyond this. Actually, the notion of advanced conquerors Haki being distinct from that which we observed in chapter 1010 would allow Oda to permit more characters to have this ability, this rare gift, while reserving advanced conquerors Haki to the figures Kaido seemed to allude to when he was comparing Luffy in chapter 1001. A very select few, even rarer than your average conqueror. Again, some kings are greater than others. The weaponization of spirit. I'm beginning to wonder if the Baratie arc is one of the first arcs to allude to this. Owner Zeph tells Sanji to watch closely, that occasionally you run into idiots like Luffy, those of a rare breed, that fight to the death once they decide upon a goal. The worst sort of enemy you can face, and no matter the weapon or armor of an enemy, it is no match for the special spirit that comes from your guts, and a conviction that does not fear death. The key takeaway from this line, and you've heard me mention countless times, is guts, will, conviction, an unyielding spirit that does not fear death, that surpasses prior limitations. This spiritual force is compared to a spear by Oda, that is to say, your spirit is a weapon mightier than any blade, a sword without rival. When you think of black blades, then, and the idea that conqueror's Haki is necessary to obtain a black blade, maybe black blades are swords that rely on the wielder's spirit. A black blade is a weaponized spirit, since conqueror's Haki is the spirit manifest as a weapon. That black blades will not break. They seem indestructible so long as the spirit of the wielder does not break. Which is why I suggested some time ago in my Zoro vs. Kaido surpassing Mihawk's legend video that the water Ichimonji didn't break for a reason. Zoro and Kuina's unwielding will or spirit had fused with the blade. There is a moment in which Mihawk seems to notice something about Zoro. His powers of clairvoyance, the capacity to see through any technique to uniquely assess any situation. Mihawk appears to not just see through Zoro's greatest technique, but also recognizes Zoro's unique potential, maybe even his conquering spirit. That there is a reason the world's strongest black blade failed to break the water Ichimonji, to shatter the will and the dream behind that sword. But back to Rayleigh's warning about conquerors, we are told Luffy must avoid using his conqueror's Haki at all costs, or risk overpowering innocent bystanders, such as his friends. I think on Fishman Island we saw Luffy exhibit some progress in this regard, only knocking out the army of fishmen but not his crewmates. But what if even then Luffy had been holding back? What if Luffy has not yet fully mastered or advanced his conqueror's Haki, and so there's still some restraint? And given how much stronger Luffy has become now, if he were to fully unleash his spirit, to fully let it flow, now that he's mastered the concept of Haki flow, what effect would a spirit as strong as Luffy's have on the world? Would it not overwhelm the very world itself? In terms of Haki flow, and a spirit that spreads outwards, another advanced ability is awakening, something Luffy might now be able to do, with flowing of the devil's soul to the surroundings, you could say. And what's interesting is, those that have used awakening thus far, successfully, that is, because others have failed to do so correctly, those that have successfully awakened are conquerors, Doflamingo and Katakuri. The guards in the down probably weren't conquerors, and so they couldn't control their abilities. The devil fruit, the devil within the fruit, possessed them. If you think about controlling devils or demons, cursed swords are similar. If it takes conquerors to control the curse of your sword as mentioned, then maybe Cavendish struggles to control Hakuba for this very reason. Maybe the strange colored eyes they have, the yellow hawk-like eyes Mihawk, Cavendish, and Inu have. Put us with a question mark there because Inu is still in silhouette. But maybe these eyes are a sign of someone that has managed to control the demon within, to conquer the spirit. Cavendish being prince, being royalty, actually makes this idea pretty appealing. Which means now that Zoro has recognized his own conquering potential, also open his eye. Maybe it was closed because he couldn't control his own curse at one point in time. Maybe a person needs to have an advanced mastery over their self to control their darker side. I've always loved the idea of Mihawk having his own demons so he keeps to himself, isolated on a lonely island. Just as Dracula was too dangerous to be around other human beings, maybe Mihawk has his own ashram. But I think to answer the original question about overwhelming the real world with your spirit, we can begin with someone believed to be a hockey master, someone that doesn't have a devil fruit, the youngest of the Yonko, but no doubt the one with the most vibrant spirit of all, red-haired Shanks. The idea of Shanks having an incredibly strong will relates to his arrival on Whitebeard's ship. The Whitebeard pirates marveled at Shanks' amazing hockey, a spirit unlike any other. Shanks' spirit was so great that it overwhelmed the ship itself, cracking the wood on the boat. And mind you, this is probably no ordinary wood. I've mentioned in other videos how advanced conquerors can affect the real world around them, our will so great that the very elements are mastered, nature in all its forms. The spirit and one's emotions are often intertwined, and we see the Yonko from time to time influence the real world. The weather with their feelings. Beimon's tantrum on Poke Island. Kaido's terrible mood on Onigashima. And since we were talking about Shanks, Shanks' anger on a certain island just prior to Mihawk's arrival, the very heavens transformed by his rage. I want to expand on the idea of the weather being affected shortly, but there is something I stumbled upon, a brief Reddit synopsis of various moments in the Ace novels, one of which elaborates on the encounter between Shanks and Ace. During their encounter, Shanks uses Conqueror's hockey to test Ace, since he's a rookie of sorts, and because Ace is also a Conqueror, it doesn't work. Shanks fails to intimidate or overwhelm Ace's spirit. However, the Reddit translation also says when Shanks used Conqueror's hockey, the fire in front of him gained in intensity. The blaze grew. Again, a spirit that affects the world around you, not just ships or the weather, but now fire as well. What else can some conquerors do? The stronger their spirit becomes. Moreover, the notion that Luffy will be the strongest conqueror in the world, thereby the strongest character similar to other shonen series, a will or a spirit so great that it is unrivaled. Furthering the idea that Luffy specializes in Conqueror's hockey, the Ace novels also seem to hint at Shanks' anger, that you shouldn't make him mad, because when he's angry, no one can stop him. Again, emotions, spirit, anger, these things are intertwined. Perhaps they are even mirrors of one another. So now, the question posed at the outset of this video, have you ever wondered what separates some kings from others? The Pirate King, from all that sucked, that highest of thrones. I believe such a man, such a person is defined by a spirit that wills the very world to bow before it. And just maybe Luffy's greatest ability, his conquering spirit, will personify the freedom he seeks to bring to the four seas, that no one will have to bow before him. What do most kings have in common? Well, Rayleigh told us, to answer this, that hockey is a power that lies dormant in all the world's creatures. Presence, fighting spirit, and intimidation. It is not different from the things that humans can naturally sense, such as these. The act of not doubting. That is spirit. Not doubting, belief, will, conviction. These are qualities of kings. And it would only make sense that the greatest hockey users possess the qualities of kings, and the greatest kings, therefore, would have the strongest wills or spirits. Over 2 decades ago, roughly 28 years ago, Roger was approached by the flying pirate Shiki, who had learned that Roger had located an ancient weapon. Seeing the opportunity, he asked Roger if they could join forces, as with his large pirate fleet and Roger's weapon, Shiki believed that they could take over the whole world together, even telling Roger that what had happened between them during the past 7 years in Doomgut Valley was forgotten. But Roger, being Roger, yet to have fully become a king, refused Shiki's offer and said that he wanted to be free to do what he wanted, that he had no desire to conquer anything. Shiki announced that his answer meant the death of him, while Roger said it meant that he would beat him, a reflection of Roger's conviction being the deciding factor in that fight. And a great sea battle soon ensued between their crews. The battle was resolved by a storm that happened during their fight, which somehow Shiki's fleet. The storm seemed to come out of nowhere And I know a lot of people like to speculate that it was Monkey D. Dragon that rescued the Roger pirates, and yes, that is possible. But I don't think that's what happened personally. I prefer the idea that Roger brought about the storm himself, that Roger was truly victorious that day. This is in keeping with the quote, that the D will bring forth another storm. Dragon as a weather or wind devil-fruit user and a member of the D clan himself would fit, yes, but there's no real need to add in Roger's there. Also, Roger hadn't discovered Lapkill yet, so what secrets could Roger share with the dragon before learning the true history on his own? What worth or value was Roger to Dragon then in that moment? Why rescue him? But I do wonder, just to tease the idea of Dragon having saved Roger, that if Dragon had a wind or weather-related devil fruit, and because of his own conqueror's baby, which could further the control over weather, that would make Dragon pretty much a weather god, don't you think? Regardless, there is a parallel we can draw between the assumption that Dragon rescued Roger from the defeat, just as some question if he rescued his son Luffy from near death in Lowtown, which is ironically the town where Roger will later die, and upon Roger's death, we see another storm and a rain that passes with a song at the moment, as Dragon exits the town. In each moment, the Battle of Edgewater in Lowtown, Luffy's failed execution, there is a subtle suggestion that luck was involved, a twist of fate, which may or may not be the case, or could be true, when also coupled alongside the concept of a wind that cannot just defy but control fate, and the weather as well, weather personified of being the physical manifestation of destiny, the omen of a storm that tells of the fortunes of men, a wind that charts the journey of any ship that sets sail at sea. It's still possible, but, anyways, how would Roger achieve such a thing, controlling the weather as well as the ocean currents? Some people used to speculate Roger had a devil fruit, a water devil fruit. This is doubtful and probably confirmed to not be the case. However, a lot of these rumors were influenced by character design and Roger's own Jolly Roger at the time. The skull's mustache looks like the waves, the ocean currents moving, the concept of flow, hockey flow. Considering all we know now, and taking this whole community theory further, what if Roger, as an advanced conqueror, willed the ocean currents that day to flow? Maybe that is why he and the other Roger pirates were so confident in their captain and their own victory. Maybe Shiki had no idea how strong Roger had become ever since God Valley or all the other times they'd encountered one another since then. I was struck by a line from Rayleigh that inspired Luffy to tell him the following, that he had no desire to conquer anyone, that to become Pirate King was to become the freest man in the world. Prior to this, Rayleigh had asked Luffy if he could do it. What the Grand Line has in store is beyond your imagination. Your enemies will be strong. Can you control this wild sea? This takes us back to Rayleigh asking Luffy what he will do or what he would do when confronted with an advanced cruiser of observation hockey or future sight. The same line of questioning, the same fear, the same inquisition. What will you do, Luffy? Show me. In another translation, Rayleigh asks Luffy, can he conquer such powerful oceans? Can he conquer the sea? And Rayleigh's response to Luffy's answer about not wanting to rule anything is a grin, a simple sneer, as if reminded of something, as he thinks and keeps his secrets, and just maybe the true meaning of that conversation to himself. Maybe this was a hint, a suggestion of sorts, that the conqueror that ultimately rises above them all is not one who clings to power but relinquishes it. To tame something is not to change the way it is, but to simply allow it to be, to let the true nature of a thing flow freely, to operate of its own accord without need for command. That this is the true meaning of a king, one without need of subjects, whose followers do so freely. A king that inspires, that doesn't rule through fear. And so, during the Battle of Edgewater, when Shiki asked Roger to join him in conquering the world, Roger's words now hold deeper meaning as the very weather and ocean currents seem to respond. That he, Roger, had no desire to conquer anyone, no desire to rule. That the true meaning of piracy was to be free. And with these words, it's as if the sea finally recognized its own true king. With the resultant storm swept Roger onwards to become the greatest pirate that had ever lived. This idea of affecting the very oceans more so than just the very sky, each a part of nature that is important to a pirate at sea, for wind as well as water to move a boat, might speak to a mystery rest of his crew to travel to and from the Grand Line to other seas and maybe even go back to paradise, to the beginning of the story when all is said and done, with some obstacle we've not yet seen yet, but that they must later overcome. That just may be bending the ocean currents to your will allow you to sail faster. When Shanks arrived at Marine Ford, the Marines were surprised by how fast Shanks got there, given how he had just been fighting Kaido. At the same time, Shanks seemed to just appear out of nowhere. When he saved Luffy in the middle of the ocean and when he rescued Kobe from a Kainu. Maybe he's just fast. Maybe Conquerors has made him faster. Maybe something else is going on. Now, I just wanted to close the video by addressing a controversial aspect of Conqueror's hockey that defies even my wildest theories so far. If nature can be overcome, even the difficulties of life, such as pain, what of death? Beyond overcoming defeat, or clinging to life for a while longer, can you overcome death itself? In the end, that is, does Conquerors allow some to actualize the idea that death is not the end? We spoke of freedom just a while ago, that a true king, the Pirate King, does not seek to rule or conquer anything. The Pirate King, as the freest man, wants others to be free as well. There's this idea that Luffy will die, similar to Roger maybe, that aside from the theory of Luffy throwing the ultimate party in the series, and that theory comes from the World Arsenal, Luffy also dreams of being the freest man in the world. Yes, he is already free. He's always been free. He said this many times before, that neither prison nor death can take his life, his liberty away. For in death and in keeping with the Buddhist concept of nirvana, Luffy will find the ultimate freedom. Luffy will decide the man, the time first of his death. I only bring this up because I'm wondering, is it possible Roger and Zebek survived? Can a spirit really conquer death? If spirits can temporarily endure long enough, can they be placed into devil fruits? Can they inhabit the bodies of other people? A conquering spirit that defies death until the task is done, the dream fulfilled. And so the dream of the ancient kingdom as well. Luffy says he would decide the time and manner of his own death. Roger did so as well, but is he out there waiting for the chosen one? Is his spirit waiting for Luffy on that tale? It would really be ironic for the Pirate King, the freest man, to embody the ultimate freedom in death, having temporarily returned to this world as the living or spiritual embodiment of the notion that the spirit is both eternal and free, that you can't kill an idea, and you can't kill a dream. Is Roger's dream yet complete? Does he also have a message to pass on to Luffy, as does Shanks? If so, did Roger win in the end? That aside from sparking the next great pirate age and using his death as a beacon to the horror of the world government, the government had also failed to properly kill Roger. That Roger was victorious in death. And Zebek, Roger's first and perhaps greatest rival, did Zebek survive? Even he was defeated on God Valley. What about his own dream? Does his own will endure? Going back to chapter 1 as it begins with Roger's execution, it also concludes with Shanks losing his arm. In one instance, a loss of life, the other a limb, and you could say Shanks nearly lost his life in the process of saving Luffy. Shanks tells us that it's just an arm. Losing this part of himself doesn't matter. Interesting how this occurs after Oda displays Conqueror's hockey for the very first time with Shanks, perhaps hinting again that some wills, some kings are greater than others. Maybe Shanks' words intertwine or coincide with his use of Conqueror's hockey, that the spirit is stronger than the body, that while life is precious, it is worth sacrificing for that which is important to you, the lives of others, your nakama, even your dream. When the body dies, the spirit remains. Death is not the end. Oda, through Roger and others, has several iconic moments that reimagine this concept. But I'm not gonna die, partner, is one of the most iconic lines. I can imagine Zebek saying the same. Knowing defeat, refusing to die. Who can say? Whether an inheritance of will or a spirit that overcame death, what it is that Zebek and Roger passed down, left behind. Just maybe we'll get an answer to these questions when Oda actually expands on the power of advanced conquerors, as I believe he has yet to truly do. Just maybe one of the great mysteries of One Piece is undying will. Just maybe kings live on. We will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click that notification bell. As always, there is more to come. Until next time, I'll see you all in Valhalla.
Only you need to know me. I will be the one.
I just wanted to start off the video by saying what I'm sure was on the minds of many people this chapter. Not too much happened. That's not to say nothing did, but after several climatic chapters of the worst generation versus Kaido and Big Mom, followed by Zoro versus Kaido and Luffy versus Kaido, and some curious dialogue between two figures competing for the title of Pirate King, which others have elaborated on, and I plan to as well in the near future. But I just wanted to say that we are now getting some more expansion of the plot of Onigashima and build-up of the conflict as it crescendos into the finale of Act 3, whenever that will be. We don't know, and at this point it feels nearly impossible to guess when Act 3 will end. I'm not complaining, that just means more hype moments, more memes, more to read and enjoy. I'm in no rush for One Piece to end. If you feel the same, and especially look forward to what Oda has planned for the conclusion of Wano, make sure to hit that like button. Rumor has it Oda watches my videos, and as the likes and subscriber count go up, the more inclined Oda is to keep writing One Piece, so yeah. The cover page was cool because it gives Eustace Kid some more attention despite the shade the community throws at Kid so often. I'm still holding out hope that he hasn't shown us all he can do yet. It's kind of like investing your money into Dogecoin. People think it's a meme. They think it's a scam. They think Kid's a meme. They think he might be a scam. But just maybe the joke will be on them in the end. Just like the joke is on me because I didn't invest. I don't even know where to begin. But I like the idea of Kid being able to use his devil fruit in ways we haven't seen yet, whether it's creating mechanical creatures or other structures as seen on this cover page, or using magnetism in ways that don't revolve around metal. I think we've seen enough metal to be honest. Oda presents us with a lot of dialogue between the scouts as they decide what to do next. Doji is still down for the count, maybe he's dead. Who knows? From the words of Kinemon and Okiku, there's still fire in their hearts, their bellies, to lay down their lives for Odin's dream as well. Oda continues the ominous foreshadowing that just maybe some of them will die before the arc is over, despite the legitimate opinion of some readers that the scabbards should live to see one's borders open for the sake of climatic effect, that such a moment would hold less meaning if they were dead and could not see it, could not visualize the dream themselves. Okiku says she would finish up conjuring, and we see the boss cat himself at the moment she decided to go after Pharaoh Sparrow on the realization that Pedro lost his life to him. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I read that I was actually glad Carrot lost, if only to see Pharaoh Sparrow get absolutely destroyed by Onishi. Oda is presenting us with several matchups after this. Yamato seems like she's going to the rooftop to back up Luffy against her father, and maybe that's when we would get Kaido's backstory, hopefully. What I will say for Kinemon is, either he returns to the rooftop as well to help Luffy, or since he's also going after Momo, maybe he finds himself protecting Momonosuke from another beast pilot, but I don't know who that would be. A commander, maybe. Why did Oda give Kinemon the ability to cut fire to begin with, aside from Kaido's dragon breath? Maybe to fight King of Wildfire? I doubt it given the clear gap in strength between the two, and it's a missed opportunity in my opinion because King could fight somebody else, but I can't think of any other alternatives. Maybe Oda has Kinemon back up with Kiku against Conjugal, but that just seems like overkill as well. You guys that have been following me for a while now know that I prefer King to conclude his fight with Marco with victory or loss. If a victory on King's part, on King's end, he should fight Zoro or Sanji, but how would that exactly happen? Well, Zoro is said by law to have 20 to 30 broken bones, which is probably accurate given how Law is an expert doctor or surgeon. I wouldn't be surprised if Zoro managed to heal rapidly or further conquer the pain if it comes to that, putting himself at greater risk of death. But Marco the Phoenix, as a doctor himself, a medical doctor, if they head in that direction, should be able to heal Zoro's injuries, right? Broken bones shouldn't be a problem for Marco's Phoenix Flames to regenerate, despite the limitations that Oda has placed on said ability. Betrayed retracing our steps a little bit, I do like how Sanji is carrying Zoro, literally carrying him in this arc. Sanji takes the occasional W every now and then, and this panel here is truly symbolic of Sanji's significance in the story. His role in Onigashima may be to carry Zoro, a testament to the relationship between the two, that Zoro has become Sanji's cross to bear his burden, the subtlety in their support for one another over the course of the story. I'm hoping this translates into an actual W for Sanji soon, not just a symbolic one, a symbolic victory. There's two different panels with Zoro's eye that we should consider now. One exposed, the other not. I don't know if Oda is just continuing to play with us because he's always been cool about the eye for some reason, and if you watch my Luffy Awakening Zoro's Curse video, there might be an evident reason as to why, or maybe not. Just something I wanted to point out. While Zoro's eye is either bandaged or not, the discrepancy in how Oda portrays it in either panel makes it difficult to say exactly. Page 1 is still down after being conquered, literally by Big Mom. Maybe there's an unrevealed power to hitting someone physically with Conqueror's hockey with your fist in her case. Just as spirits are knocked out when it is regularly used or in the standard fashion, maybe this physical contact achieves the same thing. The fist having become an overwhelming blow, the victim's spirit is weaker, irrespective of their actual bodily defenses. And so Big Mom's spirit, her Conqueror's hockey, was far greater than Page 1's Ancient Zone Devil Fruit, whatever protections it offered. Moreover, Alti seems a little too confident as she aims to avenge Page 1 or Pepe in her words, and maybe I missed it, but she's ridiculously fast. Even Big Mom seems surprised. It's like you can't see her without observation hockey. And maybe someone who fights her, maybe Nami, has to develop it in order to defeat Alti. I think it'd be a nice excuse for hockey to bloom in the heat of battle, as Oda so often says, for Nami to learn this ability against Alti. Oda also makes it clear to us Big Mom is not fully an ally yet. Her grudges, her resentments against the Straw Hats remain. It's only Otama Big Mom seems to like, maybe. But the final panel, and another matchup Oda concludes with, takes us back to something Yamato said earlier, as she finds out Luffy is fighting Kaido alone. A one-on-one, huh? I have to hurry. I think Oda is hinting at Kaido's original introduction. In a 1v1, always bet on Kaido, whether it be land, sea, or air, for this man is said to be the strongest creature in the world. Luffy is engaged right now in a 1v1 with Kaido, and yet this chapter, as in other chapters during Onigashima, we have been reminded of the Straw Hats' unyielding resolve and faith in their captain. In Zoro's words, and Sanji's consequent reply, Luffy can do it. Luffy will win. Always bet on Luffy. Whether or not that's true, the Straw Hats are giving their all to make Luffy's dream a reality, just as the Scabbers are doing for their lord, Kozuki Oden. Speaking of which, I wonder if Oden left something behind. A word or two. A parting message from his son Momonosuke. There's a reason Oda left her is leaving us in a cliffhanger as Momonosuke takes up his father's logbook, the story, the adventure, the will passed down to him as well. We see Oda slap Otama and scratch Otama, and Big Mom is enraged. I like how earlier Oda alludes to Zeus having to choose between Nami and Big Mom because we are now given a juxtaposition of characters with Nami and Big Mom side by side. But physically and personality-wise, that's wrong. Big Mom likes food, Nami likes money. Both have a code by which they unapologetically follow. Both have a temper, when crossed, you could say. And as we see here, both care deeply, with some room for variation, admittedly, for their Nakama, especially children. I wonder how Big Mom will react to Nami taking the charge to protect Otama by fighting Ulti. Will she come to respect and maybe overlook the past discretions? The suggestion in an earlier chapter that Nami needed stronger lightning might lead to the permanent power of Zeus joining Nami's side and becoming a Straw Hat in that sense. A similar scene where Big Mom encourages family to do as they want, for pirates to come and go as they please, that they don't have to live in fear of her anymore. Akin to, but also unlike the time Jinbei said his grateful goodbye for all Big Mom had done for him at Fishman Island in Whitebeard's absence. I'm looking forward to where this all goes, guys, but we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment in the box below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click that notification bell. As always, there is more to come. Until next time, I'll see you.
plus handcrafted refreshers and smoothies made fresh your way at Wawa.
Only you need to know me. I will be the one.
So there are a few things I want to get into before we get on to more important stuff. So Nami's attack from last chapter, her thunderbolt and lightning and Pikachu. They're a lot more damaging than I expected. I think it's important to remember Ulti is an ancient zone and she shouldn't really be phased by such a basic attack from Nami, I think, at all. There's also the fact that Ulti fought Luffy early on and quickly recovered from the damage dealt to her by Yamato. I guess what I'm getting at is Oda, wow, you're really gonna make Nami that strong. It's just another reminder maybe that we're in the end game now, and the Straw Hats, even if it seems sudden, even if it fits or doesn't fit the notion of a hockey bloom per se, the Straw Hats need to get stronger and stronger fast, even if that's in the form of a sudden power boost that allows Nami and others to tango with the Flying Six members. I don't know if I spoke too soon though. We'll see what Oda does with Nami later, but after she gets captured by Ulti, who is not only fast but has observation hockey clarity, Big Mom uses a new attack known as Master of Maser Cannon, which is a nod to the Godzilla series. It'd be really interesting to see later on if Oda takes any more inspiration from the recent Godzilla movie, specifically with Godzilla fighting King Kong, a lizard versus a monkey, which alludes to a dragon Kaido fighting Monkey D. Luffy. I know Flying Panda for the instant comparison. He made a video about that. I didn't watch it, but I saw a thumbnail and title in my feed on YouTube some time ago. Anyways, Maser Cannon, Big Mom fuses Prometheus, Hera, and Napoleon together. We've seen him use Prometheus with Napoleon, but molding fire and lightning together with a sword is an entirely new ability. So I don't think Prometheus got the message, but you can do anything, but never go against the family. Great movie, by the way. Or maybe it's Zeus that didn't get the message when he decided to run off with Nami after Volcano Island, whether by force or regardless. Prometheus is treating Zeus terribly, in my opinion. I hate to see it. Zeus is down bad right now, and it's clear he's going to become a permanent power-up for Nami, as I and others have been mentioning for a while now. I think the sense of abandonment Zeus is feeling is important. I also think Big Mom's reaction telling Zeus his services are no longer needed after his repeated failures, his repeated disappointments, is important for another character too. Cracker and Katakuri understand they lost as well, and in doing so they let Big Mom down. We saw with Snack how he was demoted from being a sweet commander. What happened to Cracker? What happened to Katakuri? Were they demoted because Big Mom gave you an option? Imagine her offering a promotion if they remain within the family. We're saying something similar to what she just said to Zeus, that their services were no longer needed if they did not accept the demotion. To be honest, I have no idea if anything negative happened at all. Imagine Katakuri having left the Big Mom Pirates voluntarily, without any provocation from Big Mom. A soul-searching journey to become the protagonist of his own story. Straw Hat Luffy meets Scarfman Katakuri. Yeah, I think I'm gonna run that idea by Oda. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, there's a suggestion in the manga, something that I'm not sure if Oda is suggesting Big Mom knows or is hinting at simply via her words, but Big Mom instructing Hera to eat Zeus's cannibalism straight up. Big Mom wants Hera to eat her sibling, I guess, or comrade is a better word, that doing so, consuming Zeus's soul will make Hera much stronger. Now, remember people believe Big Mom ate Mother Carmel and the orphans, and that by eating Mother Carmel, Big Mom effectively ate Carmel's devil fruit and obtained her devil fruit soul powers. But there's also a theory Big Mom consumed Mother Carmel's soul, and that Mother Carmel's soul still exists within Big Mom. But not only has Big Mom gotten stronger, but she's become corrupted. I have no idea if this is likely, but it does link to other theories out there about Blackbeard and how he eats hearts and consumes souls. I made a video on this before, but I plan to remake it in better quality down the road. Moreover, I think we're seeing a classic example of the main issue with Big Mom, and this also ties into how she behaved on Elba prior to the cannibalism, of course. Some things just don't change, do they? And Big Mom still believes, ever since a child, that she knows what's right. She overrules everybody. Here we see her snatch up Otama, claiming she has to get Otama out of danger, deeming these Straw Hats to be dangerous. But soon after, Big Mom turns on Otama too, betray her, never fail her. If you try to leave willingly, she will kill you or at least take something from you in turn. You don't just get to leave. I don't know about you guys, but I was dying to laugh when Zeus rushed over to Majin Buu and while giving the famous Vegeta, "My son, I do this for you" speech. At first I didn't know where this monologue was going, but I guess it works. I'm just wondering, does Zeus have the will of D? So, Zeus's kid, yes. Yes, thank you, Oda. I wonder what is being said here by putting Luffy up against Kaido and Kid against Big Mom. In my opinion, Big Mom seems to be somewhat weaker than Kaido, I'm not sure about how much. And so this would make sense when comparing Luffy and Kid too, I guess. Kid's entry, while he uses the same moveset he's been using for a while now, I was impressed. It's fine. Maybe there's more to the techniques, the ability, that meets the eye. Recognize how Luffy shocked us in chapter 1000 by knocking Kaido's face into the ground, and this chapter, Useless Kid mirrors that very entry by knocking Big Mom's face into the ground as well. Kid declares Big Mom to be his prey, and I think there's a lot to look forward to between their shared history at least, maybe even speculate about in due time. Only a few more days of school before I blow up your notifications with a lot of videos back to back. Thanks for bearing with me. But the chapter concludes with Luffy versus Kaido, and yes, I know people are going to blow up my comments after the last review because of the title, Always Bet on Luffy. Well guys, I'm here to say it again, always bet on Luffy. Never doubt him. The fight is clearly not over. Not yet. Despite Luffy falling off the side of Onigashima, or I guess I should be honest, and that he was sent flying, but despite that, Luffy will most likely recover. Also, we haven't seen Luffy coat his gears and conquerors yet, or use a new gear. That's kind of important, I think. Kaido gives the best speeches after he's bodied someone, and in this case, Luffy, earlier Zoro-in-law, before that, the Scabbers. Kaido says now, humans always cling on to faith. In a way, they can't afford to abandon it, and that can be dangerous. I wonder if Kaido is reminded of someone.
Alright.
Another OP, another person that clung to faith and refused to give up, to surrender. His former captains at the Rocks. What happened on God Valley? Should Zebek have surrendered? Is that the reason he supposedly died? Kaido says it's been a while since he's gotten this far back. What a mistake. He should have taken Luffy's head as a trophy. If they're not shown proof, their faith in you will never die. Isn't that right? So I guess to conclude the video in response to Kaido's speech, this reminds me of the death of Roger, Whitebeard, and others, their execution in a way. Ace says, well, the need to set a public example, to crush the faith, the belief of pirates in a new age, by publicly killing those figures, each time the world government failed, in one way or another. And so the faith in those figures did not die. I'd also like to talk about the concept of proof. What does Kaido mean? Well, he wants Luffy's head as proof, to show that Luffy is really dead. That he actually lost, that he's not coming back. Where is Roger's body? Shanks would not allow the Marines or government to have the bodies of Whitebeard and Ace. He would not allow their memories to be disrespected anymore. And finally, where is the Zebek's body? He was said to have died, but where's the proof? Does Rocks win, or does he himself endure? As for Kaido, we see him crying once again. People have speculated in the past as to why Kaido is always crying. Well, it seems to be linked maybe to wanting a worthy rival, akin to Odin in the past. That Kaido is disappointed once again. But just maybe Oda is hiding something else waiting behind these words. That Kaido's faith in Zebek Rocks, his belief in his own captain, has never died. Those flames still burn. We will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click the notification bell. As always, there is more to come. Until next time, I'll see you all in Valhalla.
Alright. I think that's gonna work as a decent reference. Here we are, we're going on 2 hours, and this is what I'm talking about. Had I been trying to draw this and figure it out as I'm drew the picture and used all these references all simultaneously while I was drawing, yeah, these things usually end up taking like 4 or 5 hours. You can see why, man. I just spent 2 hours on just trying to piece it together in my head here. And now I could take this and actually do something decent with it. Um, so yeah, let me save this JPEG. And yeah, next time I'll probably be drawing something. And again, this is supposed to just kind of represent um, what I want this small city over here to look like. And then I'll also be putting together a port, within within the coming days. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna draw this one first and then go back and do the port. That might be the way to do it, just so I can mix it up and slowly get back into drawing again. Just because it's been like, I don't know, what, a month or two since I've actually like really hand drawn some stuff. So this will be a good fade in between the two digital and traditional processes. Either way, yeah, we're officially 2 hours in, so I want to call it an end to this one, and yeah, let's do what I always do. Let's see where I started, and I could toss all this out now. Yeah, there's not that many layers now. So this is the picture that I started with. And I liked it because we had this lower horizon line that's within the lower half of the image. That's what I wanted. It's hard to find pictures of mountains that, where the horizon line isn't all the way up at the top. It was like I need one low, but I also need the mountain peak to be up towards the top. So it was a very specific image I was looking for. Plus, with lush rainforest type stuff. And I like this little place where I was going to be able to put water and, take out this foreground. So I adjusted the image and it looks like really bad, just because I adjusted it wherever I needed to. But yeah, adjusting the colors to kind of brighten it up, make it nice. And let's see, what I do first, the water. So that way we have the water to kind of lay some base down, and then we threw this first bit in there. And I like that. We threw the second set of buildings here. Which I think works. I wonder if I want to erase these things completely. Oh, you know what? Where are you at? You're here. If I want to erase these completely, so that way it's not a bridge, but it's actually sitting on that ridge there. But it looks like a flat, like a flat plateau along that ridge. Why is this thing so laggy? It's not giving me all the... Alright. I wonder if I want to do that at all. Was it not letting me undo now? Come on. What's going on? Well, either way. And then we added this bit up at the top. Wanted to make sure I still kept the waterfall in there. Got some cliffs, got some rocks. Yeah, fuck it, we'll just keep it like this. I'll remember all this stuff. So that way when I go to draw it. And yeah, it's going to be drawn really small as well. But what I also like about this is that the structure still kind of matches what I did in the previous drawing. So it's like, okay. And, you know, there's going to be these columns and bridges, and that's pretty much going to be representative of this continent's structure. You know, it wasn't planned, but that's how it's going down. So I like this. I'm good with this. Let's call it a day at that, man. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm G Mr. Drew. That's at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You can follow, like, and subscribe. The links are in bio, along with my website, gmrdrew.art. Any and all support is appreciated. I'm on Patreon. You can support me for as low as $1 a month. Or if you're interested in like commissions, character sketches, portraits, anything like that, I have a bunch of tiers that, you know, the higher they go, the more square, or the, you know, the bigger the picture I'll draw for you. And yeah, that's gonna be it, man. I want to thank anyone and everyone for watching. If you've made it this far, you are a saint. You've been watching the Andrew Glowczewski Experience. This has been episode 176. Continue to make Photobash references, but this one is an environment for the first time. And yeah, now you see how this goes. We started with this beautiful picture of this valley, and we ended with that. And that's how it goes, man. I want to thank y'all. Love y'all. I'll be back. Peace.